These are infrared photographs. They are pictures with light recorded beyond the visible spectrum. You can take these photographs with a filter that costs about $50 that you can put on your lens, or you can modify your camera permanently to take infrared. Infrared photography darkens blue skies, but it also illuminates clouds, grass, trees, and any sort of plant, which you can also change into different colors later in Photoshop. I usually like using white as my foliage color. Okay, so to figure out if your camera can take infrared photography, or how well it can take it, turn your camera on and put it to manual mode. Set the exposure to about 1 second and put it to f10. That's what I used anyway. Next, take a TV remote controller or something of that sort and point it at the lens, press the shutter, and then push the button on the remote. As you can see here, the light coming from the remote is very bright and it's actually overexposed. This is good. It means your camera is sensitive to infrared light. However, this picture is not, because the light is actually dimmer, and that means that you can still do infrared light, but your photos are just not going to be coming out as good as if you had a camera that was really sensitive to infrared light. And also your exposure times are going to be drastically longer, about 20 seconds in pure daylight. Now if you can't even see the thing at all, then your camera can even do infrared, and you're going to have to convert your camera. But right now I'm just going to tell you how to do it with a filter called the Hoya R72. Now when you first get this, it's pitch black. You put it up to your lens and you can't see anything. So this is why you have to focus your scene before you put the filter on. That will get everything in focus. Then you screw on your filter, and then you put your lens to manual focus, so it won't try to autofocus when you push the shutter down with the black thing on. I also recommend using manual mode on your camera as well, and just guess and check to see when the exposure is correct. So then you just take your picture and we will go over the results. Now this is just a regular color JPEG of the scene, there's nothing special. But this is the infrared version taken with the Nikon D300S in a RAW file. And I set the white balance later in Photoshop. I had to mess around with it quite a bit to get it to look like this. And the exposure time was about 20 seconds. This is the same scene, but it was taken with the Nikon D50, which is much more sensitive to infrared light. As you can see, the sky is much more darker and the foliage is much more brighter. It just looks better and it's more contrasty. The exposure time was about 1 second on this. You can also create interesting color effects with infrared. Now this is just a regular picture with regular color. And now in Photoshop I added an infrared picture over the colored photo, and I used darken as the blending mode, and it comes out with a nice effect. To learn more about infrared photography, where to buy the filters, and if you wanted to modify your camera, where you would send it in to get it modified and things like that, visit photoextremist.com and it'll give you a lot more detail about this whole process.